Hello, my fellow human beings. Welcome to An Act of Courage. I am Julia, and today we're gonna talk about expectations. Let's start. This is the most beautiful. Before we talk about expectations, let's take a step back and talk about reality, or what we think reality is. Like me, you might have believed that the reality is objective. This is how things are. If so, I want to offer you a little food for thought. What I or we experience as reality is actually subjective reality because our daily lives and our experiences are shaped by our previous experiences, by our triggers, expectations, background, culture, and everything that has shaped us and our identity. In fact, if two people find themselves in the same situation, their experience of that situation will be different based on their past experiences, their beliefs, their background, their culture, their attachment patterns, their hurts, their learned expectations, and more. A simple example can be two people text the same friend. 2 hours pass and there's no reply from this friend. Person A may simply think they're probably busy and continue with their day. Person B could think that this person has not replied because they're upset with them. They must have done something wrong. So suddenly they feel their body is tightened and their thoughts start spiraling and their mood shift. The external situation is identical, right? But the internal experience couldn't be more different. The friend may simply be busy, right? But person A and person B are not responding to the present moment. They're responding to their internal belief system, their past experiences, and their triggers. Our brain predicts that our friend is mad at us, and now our whole body feels the pain of expectation. The body tightens, we may withdraw from life, or we may attack before being attacked, all based on our previous experiences and relationship patterns. Our present experience is shaped by our past. Those predictions become the lens through which we interpret the present moment. Something I have particularly struggled with in my life is expectations. We have expectations of ourselves, our partners, our friends, our family, a TV show, a book, a city, literally anything. And having expectations about everyone and everything sets us up for failure and disappointment. I personally can never meet my own expectations. I am a recovering perfectionist, and you can see why I can't meet my own expectations. Because perfectionism doesn't exist. Anything can always be done better. Improvement is what is real. Perfection is not. That though doesn't change the fact that if I'm not conscious about it, I place a ginormous amount of expectation on myself that I can never meet, and then become extremely disappointing. And I am so disappointed with myself, which triggers an internal cycle of self criticism. I'm not good enough, I don't have the right skills, I don't deserve good things, I don't deserve to be loved, and so on. It honestly goes on and on until someone steps in, gives me a pep talk or a massive hug, which helps me regulate my emotions so I can come back to myself, realizing once again that I set up myself for failure. Not this year, not this year. This doesn't only happen with myself. Yes, my expectation of myself are much, much worse. But I always have expectations of my partner, my friends, family, and on anything if I am fully honest. For example, sometimes I expect my partner to simply read my mind, to know what I'm thinking and do exactly what I want her to do and the way I want her to do it. Can you see the problem? How can she do what I want if first I haven't even communicated to her? I just expect her to know. But how could she? Realistically, how could she? And even if I have told her, the chances of her doing it exactly how I had it pictured in my mind, those chances are very low. Because my partner is simply not me. We literally come from opposite parts of the world. We have different cultures, different upbringing, backgrounds, expectations. I remember actually at the beginning of our relationship, something that for me was massive, but of course it's not. Something that was really weird for me was that where I come from, usually we have meals together around the table, sitting at the table. And that's how I had it my whole life. But for my partner, dinner didn't have to be together. And she preferred to have it on the couch in front of the TV, as that was her normal growing up. Can you see how she could have not met my expectations? And at the same time, I could have not met her expectations. Because what was normal for me was not normal for her. There was no right or wrong here. There was just my way, the way I was brought up, and the way she was brought up. And they're both valid. They are just different based on our previous experiences. But you can see how easily that could have ruined a relationship, something also that small. This also happened with friends. When, for example, I'm having a tough time, I often expect them to show up in the way I would show up for them if the situation was reversed. But again, our friends are not us. What we want as support may not be what they want or may not be what they're able to give. For example, you might want to be surrounded, hugged, cry together, while your friend could prefer simply be alone in the room, crying alone without no one around, and have more a private type of support from far away. They're both valid. Something I'm really trying to do this year, now that I have realized how expectation can and have ruined relationships, is to loosen my grip on them. And to be honest with you, this is incredibly hard for me because I'm a compulsive expectationist, if that is a word. But what helps me is remembering that human beings are far more complex than what I once thought. And we need to give people the grace to be different from us. My reality is not another person's reality. The way I live and experience life doesn't invalidate how others live and make decisions, and vice versa. When we consciously work to understand this and give people the benefit of the doubt, and believe that generally people have good intentions, even when they don't meet our expectations, relationship can generally improve. Another essential aspect is communication. Saying out loud what you need and what you expect from a person remove a lot of messy guesswork and increase the chances of being understood and actually receive what you want. I know it's hard, it's vulnerable, it's scary, it open up even more to disappointment. What if they know what I need and want and still they don't do it? That can hurt deeply. This is where remembering our differences matters again. What you need may be triggering, uncomfortable, and scary also for the other person. They may not be refusing to meet your expectations because they don't care, but maybe they feel paralyzed by the pressure of this expectation on them. They might be so afraid to let you down that they just let you down as a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just not that simple. But it is simple for expectation to destroy beautiful relationships. This is what helps me. Breathe and just bring myself into a calmer state, more open mind. I need to remember that as humans, we are complex and accept who we are and that we are different, and that is what makes the relationships so beautiful. Also, I need to remember that there is no black or white thinking. There's just, a multitude of colors. My experience, my background, my culture are different from others, and vice versa. I need to remember to try to see situations from another's perspective, point of view. And I need to remember communicate, communicate, communicate. That's key. And most of all, I need to remember to be curious rather than defensive or offensive. And always practice compassion for yourself and for others. Now, if I told you that this solved all my problems about expectations, I wouldn't be further away from the truth. I had expectation for 30 years of life. This is a lifelong journey, one where we actively choose to apply what we learn. We make mistakes, we fall back into old patterns, and we begin again. That is what growth is. Relationships need care, compassion, acceptance of who we truly are, the good and the bad, and consistent effort. Next time you notice expectation rising toward yourself or toward someone else or something, pause, breathe, be compassionate. Ask yourself, what expectation am I holding right now? And who are they directed towards? Did I choose these expectations or did I absorb them from the past, experiences, culture, relationships? Maybe ask yourself, how do I usually realize I have an expectation, tension there in my body? Disappointment, resentment, how do you feel those? Do you withdraw? What am I afraid might happen if this expectation is not met? Would be worth letting expectations ruin this relationship? Or can I see what this is from the other person perspective? And can I see this as something that is not personal, as something more complex, and understand that expectations are hard to meet? Really take the time to be fully honest with your answer. Start being vulnerable with yourself first. Curiosity has been my greatest tool. When you're curious, you open yourself to other perspectives. Curiosity, I believe, comes from a place of love, while judgment and expectations go hand in hand. I know this because I'm incredibly guilty of it. I've spent so much time in my life trapped in a black and white thinking, right and wrong thinking that exhausts me. Over the past year, I've been so intentionally working to understand how these thoughts patterns were actually really limiting my ability to fully understand the human experience and to be compassionate towards myself and others. So, yes, I am very excited to keep learning. It's never dull on this lifelong journey that we call life. So, let me know in the comments if you tried, what do you think, if you have a different opinion. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you next time. Bye.